Good night, everyone done tonight. God is good and God is good all the time. My name is John Richard Spears Divine. I'm making a little show news and a short word on tonight. First we're gonna start with update with immigrant in the border. Expanded the lawful pathway, enticing enforcement. So when the CDC, Center for Disease Control, Title 42 public health order had been lifted, months ago, it had ended. So fully had started enforcing Title 8, immigration authority to expedite process and remove individuals who arrive at the United States border unlawfully and do not have a legal basis to stay. So we trying to stop illegal immigrants from coming through because when they come through illegal, then they got to come to the state to apply for food stamp welfare, and if they don't have the proper paper that didn't just came through here, it's gonna be hard for them to apply for any kind of assistance. So, enforcement of immigration law on the Title A is expected to reduce the numbers of repeated border crossing over time. So, which increased significantly under the Title 42 public health order. The following official United States government research provide accurate information on how our immigration system works and how we are expanding lawful pathway. Couple now, see when you try to come through, you have to have all your paperwork because having the paperwork at the border meaning you have to have all your paperwork once you get to another state. Would entice enforcement to reduce irregular immigration, ensure safety early, and human management of our border and our immigration system. Now we need to expand legal pathway border. Now we using Title A right now because Title 42 has ended. So one living arrangement for asylum. We will seek available space. Seek available space in the state before you enter. Please don't go unannounced because you probably get turned around or you're gonna be staying anywhere until you try to get an apartment. So try to seek your asylum before you get to the state. So two, make sure you are legal before crossing the border. Make sure you got all your personal, all your paperwork. Make sure it's all updated. So three, make sure all your information is updated. You're gonna need your ID or your driving license or your green card. Make sure your green card is updated and make sure it's legal. So four, please don't leave unaccompanied alone at the border. We had those problems, last year. Leaving children at the border by themselves and things was happening to them. So you can't leave your own child alone. Title A, legal pathway to the border. And that's what we're looking for, to make it smooth as possible. But also, we're going to need our security. I know they were talking about cutting, but we're going to need the security at the border. We need the security at the border. So make sure you have all your paperwork. Make sure you have your ID or your green card. And make sure you don't leave no child at the border. So that's the news, right there for a legal pathway for the immigrant. So we're gonna talk about giving to the needy. I know giving. Sometimes people love to give. Sometimes people love to give public. So this package here gonna tell you about public or private. So Matthew chapter 6, 1 through 4. So be careful not to practice your righteousness in front of others to be seen by them. And see, that's another thing. We can't be seen or trying to show off. When you're trying to be righteous, during the wake of God, a lot of stuff is private. God don't like for us to showcase and look down on someone when you trying to help someone out in need. So if you do, you will have no reward from the Father in heaven. So if you do these things, you will not have, no reward in heaven. Because he don't want you to shame someone if you're giving, and you telling someone, "Oh, I helped this person pay their rent," you know, God don't want you to do that. Helping in that kind of way. So if you act in a way designed to secure the notice of others, you need a righteousness yield, no reward, public pity. Jesus warned against perverted pity or pity unused for public self elevation. And sometimes people do that for their own self elevation, to make themselves seen. So when you give to the needy, do not announce it with a trumpet, as a hypocrite do in the synagogue and on the streets to be honored by others. And see, when we do right thing, we're not doing it for others. We're doing it for God. You do the good deed, and trust me, God see all the good deeds that you do. So you're not doing it for the public. You doing a good deed for God. It said, be honored, don't be honored by others. Truly I tell you, they have received their reward in full. So the attention they may get is their own only reward. Not those with sincere faith who do good deeds out of the general love for God and other people with no explanation of getting anything in return will receive greater reward from God. So like if you go help someone or you donate in church or any good deed that you do, don't look for something in return. You know, um, just like the package I put out a couple of months ago. They're supposed to donate to the church. So all you had to say, well, I'm not gonna do the whole thing. I'm gonna just do half. So he had everyone thinking he was gonna pay the full amount like everybody else did. So if you can't afford to give, don't give. So getting anything in return will receive far greater reward from God. Now, but when you give to the needy, do not let your left hand know what your right hand is gonna do. So don't let your left hand know what your right hand is gonna do. So when you give, excuse me. So when you give, you're giving in private. Nobody don't need to know anything. You know, so when Jesus has said not to let your left hand know what your right hand is doing, he is teaching that our motive for giving to God and to others must be pure. You must have a pure heart when you give. You know, don't give and be like, oh, well, I gotta wait till payday, but let me take some of this back. Don't do all that complaining right in front of the person. So we have to know what our standards is when we give. So to God and to others must have a pure heart. It is easy to give with mixed motive, and that's why I just said don't have mixed motive. To do something for someone if it really benefit us in return. But believers should avoid all seeming and give for the pleasure of giving and as a response to God's love. Now, see, when you give, Jesus said, have a pure heart. Meaning, be happy when you give. Feel good about yourself when you give. Don't have mixed motives. They have some people have mixed motives. Some of them be had and some of them be like, I just give my last, and I got to pay my. No, a lot of time, you do what you need to do first if you want to give. Don't give and then you shorthand it on your bills. So that your giving may be in secret, and then your Father who sees what is done in secret will reward you. That just like Shepherd when I had put that out months ago. They had a choice to make. I'm gonna obey my King. I'm gonna obey God. And so a lot of time people do good deeds and don't realize God is watching. So they made the best decision because Pharaoh had wanted them to kill all the men, all the boys. and that was their king, their master over them. So they had a decision to make. If I'm gonna obey my king, or I'm gonna obey my God. So they made a decision. They saved all the boys. They said all them boys because they know they made the right decision. Because nobody but God can protect them and get them out of the jam that they're in. So when you give to the needy, do not let your left hand know what your right hand is about to do. So God and others must be pure. You must have a pure heart. Benefits in return. But believers should avoid any kind of scheming, and give for the pleasure that's given and as a response to God's love. So that your giving may be in secret, and then your Father who sees what is done in secret will reward you. You don't have to brag about what you're doing. God sees, and He rewards you. He rewards Shiva right now from saving all them boys. They got a reward from God, because God saw their good deed. So we should do our good deed quietly or secret, with no thought or reward. So Jesus also said that we should check our motive in their areas. We need to check our motive before we give. Generous, prayers and fasting. So those acts that should not be self-centered, but God-centered giving, not to make us look good, but to be kind and give and let no one know. Will you still give? Continue on a public giver. So we should do good deeds. But if we intentionally want others to see us in order to receive glory, and then these deeds will not please God. We're supposed to do good deeds, to please God, not to others. Some people wants to please others, but we here to please God. And we don't have to showcase. Oh, I did my good deed. I did this and I did that. You don't have to showcase, because God sees everything. So we have to have a good attitude when we do a good deed. So don't give to someone and then you got an attitude. Because then they'll be like, oh, that's all right. That's all right. I'm good. I'm good. So don't try to have an attitude when you're trying to give. You know, so when we have, so we have, so when we have a good attitude, so when we have a good attitude, and when we do a good deed, giving to the needy, give in secret, not in public. So when you give in secret, don't tell no one. You know, God will seize and reward you. So um, that's a story giving to the need. Giving to anyone that need help. Anyone that need help. Give, because see, a lot of time if you give from your heart, and you give secret, God will double your portion. So always try to have a good attitude. So a lot of times if you don't have a good attitude and you're trying to give to someone, they will leave it right there. And will not receive it. So is the word is, if you're gonna give, do it in secret. You know, do it in secret. Don't do it public. So we also talk about the immigrant. We talked about the immigrant expand lawful pathway. So no one come through illegal. So right now we're using Title 8 because Title 42 has ended. So with that, I had said a living arrangement for asylum. Make sure you find out if the apartment available in that state before you get there. And I also talk about make sure you have a legal make sure all legal before crossing the border. I mean, you have to have all your paperwork. You have to, all your paperwork to cross through. And I also told them, make sure you got your ID or your green card. And please don't leave no child at the border. So that's all the word and the news that I have. Make sure when you give in secret. Don't tell everybody what you're giving or what you did for someone. We're gonna keep that in secret, and whatever good deed that you do in secret, God sees it. So have a blessed and safe night, and I see y'all on the next video.